Hello, my name is Michelle and I'm here to do a review of The Homicidal Hairstyle of the Viral Video Vixen by Phillip Mottaz. This is the second book in the Psychic Barber Mystery series. In this book, we follow Danica, and Danica has gone and taken a break after the first novel and after solving that crime and winning that money. She had injuries, so she went home to stay with her stepdad for a while to recover. In the beginning of this book, we're traveling with her on her way back home to Los Angeles. She ends up accepting a job to do hair and I think makeup for this girl named Sophie Starr. Sophie Starr is a famous YouTube personality. This book takes place in 2009, and I specifically remember in 2008, 2009, somewhere around there started coming about some YouTube personalities who seemed kind of almost too perfect or too good to be true. They always had perfect hair and makeup and a cute outfit that you never saw more than once, and they lived in beautiful homes that usually seemed like mansions or something and had nothing out of place. You wouldn't even see a remote control sitting on the coffee table because that's too cluttery. Do you remember that? Those perfect YouTube sensations? They're still kind of around, but not to the same degree, I think, as they were at the end of the early 2000s. And Sophie Starr is one of those YouTube sensations. And she hires people to do her hair and her makeup and designer clothes. And I don't think she even films at her own house. The whole thing is just very produced. And Danica gets hired to do hair and makeup for some of the videos. She goes to do that, and her special gift is that when she touches the back of someone's head, she can see what they're thinking about. And she sees some things with this one guy there that kind of raised some questions for her, but she doesn't think a whole lot of it. And then she goes back to the hair salon that she works at, and there's this Madame Lorena who she thinks is just a fake psychic. Long story short, when Sophia goes missing, Sophia's sister announces that she wants a group of people to come stay at Sophie's mansion and figure out what happened to her. Where is she? What's going on? And she's going to give a huge reward to whoever figures out where Sophie is. I think it was $500,000. Danica goes to this mansion and she's there with Lorena. They're sharing a room and they're trying to figure out what happened to Sophie. This book kind of feels like a book version of Clue. There's a lot of puzzle pieces to put together, and it's such a fun read. I really enjoyed it. There's a certain electricity to the book and to the storyline that really keeps it propelling forward that I found very appealing. There's a couple twists in there that I didn't see coming. I would say if you like Sue Grafton books, you would really like this one. There's something that feels kind of similar about them. I think part of it is the protagonist in both series is a very flawed woman. And I love that. I love flawed characters. I don't like the, beautiful, skinny, rich person living in a mansion. Well, like Sophie Starr in this book. Those aren't my favorite protagonists. I like protagonists that are real people with real problems and that sort of thing. This book was very funny and amusing. There was some fun 90s teen references to things like En Vogue and Green Day. And I really loved it. I also enjoyed that Danica is recovering from the wounds in the first book and recovering mentally from what happened to her in the first book. it makes her feel so human to me. One thing I've noticed in a lot of cozy mystery books is when the next book starts, it's like nothing fazed the person about what happened in the book prior. And I just don't think that's very realistic. This book could stand alone by itself if you don't have a chance to get a copy of the first book and read that first. I think that you wouldn't be too terribly lost. The author did a really good job of throwing explanations about the first book in here. I did find the first 20 or so pages to be a little bit slow, and there was an event that happened that was kind of confusing. I wasn't sure what it had to do with the rest of the book. But then by page 30, I was head over heels in love with the book and I couldn't put it down. My only other critiques are that I didn't really feel a lot of cozy in here. I've become very used to cozy mysteries having a lot about baking or sewing or libraries or something really cozy going on somewhat regularly, and also a lot of emphasis on the season that it is, that kind of thing. The house had kind of a cozy element to it though, because there was a lot of description of the house and different unique elements that the house had. And there were some political comments that were sprinkled every once in a while throughout the book. And I tend to turn to cozy mysteries as a way to escape politics a little bit and escape what's going on in our crazy world. And it just didn't quite make sense to me why it was in there, because it really didn't have anything to do with the plot or the storyline. So because of those last two things, I give it 4 stars, but a very solid 4 stars. I really do recommend this book to anyone that loves a good mystery. It really did feel like a book version of Clue, and it was a really fun read. I also really tend to turn to cozy mysteries as a way to cleanse my palate after a book that's really dark or heavy or maybe difficult to read, and this was definitely a good palate cleanser. Have you read the first book in this series, or have you read this book yet? Or if not, are you planning on reading them? Let me know. I also want to thank the author for sending me a copy of this book to read and review. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day or night. Happy reading. Bye.